Okay. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I get this question all this time, and I realized I never made a YouTube video on it. So this is a video, inshallah, that's going to be dedicated to this. I'm filming this at my laptop and on my webcam. So forgive the quality, but inshallah, the content makes up for it. So if you have done any kind of research into healing trauma, you probably came across the idea of nervous system regulation. And if you haven't already watched my healing trauma series on YouTube, then I recommend you make time to watch it. It's a series of just a few videos that kind of goes through what I think are the most important foundational aspects of learning how to heal trauma. And one of the things that you'll learn from that video, just very briefly, is that trauma is not like other mental health issues. And the reason being is because it doesn't just affect the psyche or the mind, but it actually demonstrates itself physiologically and neurologically. And that's what makes it so distressing for people. And that's typically what brings so many people to working with me, because they're, working with therapists or psychologists who are focusing so heavily on the mind, but ignoring the physical symptoms that are coming with trauma. So the question that I typically get is, how do you regulate a dysregulated nervous system? So trauma causes your nervous system to become dysregulated. And essentially that means that instead of your nervous system functioning in this kind of happy medium of where it's supposed to be functioning, this healthy way, it's either overreacting or it's underreacting. It's hyperactive or it's hypoactive. So you don't want to be either one. Right? If you wanted to choose one, you'd probably want to choose hyperactive instead of hypoactive. But the point is, we want to get it to a point where it's back in balance. So we have to retrain the nervous system to do this. Nervous system regulation is how you do that. Now, to preface, nervous system regulation is just one part of the equation of healing trauma. People try to treat it like if you regulate your nervous system, then you will no longer be traumatized. That is not true. That's just not how it works. If you haven't seen my webinar on the 3 steps to healing trauma, I go through the actual equation. So you guys will have access to that. The link is in the description. There is no other place on the internet that you'll find that webinar. It's only through that link. So if you haven't watched it yet, then I recommend you watch it after you watch this video. So let's, inshallah, go through the two techniques I'll show you to regulate your nervous system. And depending on how dysregulated your nervous system will determine kind of how quickly your nervous system will regulate. So I'm going to show you two. My former clients are going to be annoyed at me because I have not shown this even in my program, but they're very simple. They're very easy for the ladies who've been in Seeking Wholeness. You guys have such a robust toolbox of different nervous system regulation techniques. You don't even need these, but for those who just watch me on YouTube, you please keep these in your back pocket. So the first one is very, very simple. If we want to regulate the nervous system, we have to use the body because the nervous system is connected to the body. So here's what you're going to do. Take one hand and you will place it on your chest. Okay, so just in the center of your chest. Then you're going to take your other hand and you're going to place it on your forehead. Okay, so place it on your forehead. And immediately, if you have a nervous system that's dysregulated, doing this can feel very alarming. Like people will start to notice their heart starts to race. And that's also part of it because you can actually feel the beating of your heart. When you start to bring awareness to your body, that can cause some panic. But it's something necessary because you cannot heal trauma and you cannot regulate your nervous system if you have a weak mind-body connection. This is like the first 3 weeks of my program are dedicated to different techniques of building the mind-body connection so that you can heal trauma effectively. So hand here, and all you're going to do is take a deep breath, however that feels comfortable or safe to you. And as you're breathing out, you're going to tilt your head up. You can keep your eyes open or closed. Another deep breath, exhaling, tilting your head up. And you're doing this very slowly. And there's something that is extremely soothing about just that movement of extending your neck and flexing it and syncing it with your breath. And one thing that I actually was thinking about is, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but nervous system regulation, the way it is essentially working is we're trying to activate a really important nerve called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is one of your cranial nerves. So it comes out of your brain and it's an extremely extensive neural network. What does that mean? This nerve is not just a single nerve that goes down from the brain and down, to your chest. It branches off and breaks off into several little networks, and it is so important for nervous system function. And we're trying to activate that nerve without over-activating it. Now, being able to move, when we move, what do our eyes do? They're following, right? And so you're kind of moving your eye muscles superiorly. So your eyes are moving upwards. One example of the vagus nerve being stimulated, but stimulated a little too much, is when you have something called vasovagal syncope. Basically, if you've ever seen someone who passed out because they were really emotional, they were really scared, or, for people who pass out when they're going to get their blood drawn, they're having a vasovagal syncopal episode. They're fainting because their vagus nerve got stimulated so much that the nervous system was trying to calm them down, and it calmed them down too much to the blood pressure drops and you faint. But have you ever noticed what happens right before someone faints? Their eyes roll up. And so essentially the body is kind of signaling the same idea. So we're trying to get the vagus nerve to activate, but in a very kind of safe, microdosed way. And so even doing that, automatically, I'm already noticing I feel calmer, I feel safer. My heart rate did slow down, by the way. And the more you practice that, the more you'll start to notice what actual physiological changes are happening. So that's one. Number two is this activity. So you're going to take your right hand and you're going to place it under your left armpit. And we want to put right hand under left armpit because that's where our heart is, right? Our heart is on the left side. And then you're going to take your left hand and you're just going to wrap it around to your shoulder. And when you do this, I want you to drop your arms. So there's going to be almost a tightening. And take a deep breath. And immediately what you should notice, and this one, for in my opinion, is actually a much stronger nervous system regulator, is that your body starts to feel safer. Your shoulders will start to drop. It'll get easier to take slower, deep breaths. Your heart rate will start to lower. And there's something very, very safe about this. We call this self-contact. There's studies on this that show how quickly this can drop your stress hormone levels in your blood. So whenever you're feeling activated, stressed, anxious, afraid, try one of these two techniques. See what actually happens as a result. When you're feeling triggered because of your trauma, use these nervous system regulation techniques. They're going to help you not have a nervous system that is so activated and you're not always so triggered, because you retrain your brain to learn how to start calming down and bringing you back to safety when your nervous system is activated because of a trigger. Now, like I said, this is only half of the picture. If you haven't watched my webinar on this topic, then go to the link in the description. And for any ladies who are watching this who are like, Hannah, I just want to heal my trauma. How do I do it? You can go to the link in my description to learn about my trauma group coaching program, where I walk Muslim women through a 12-week system to heal trauma through the body, the mind, and the soul. If you haven't seen testimonials, whether the video testimonials, the written testimonials on YouTube or on my website, then I highly recommend you look at those as well to make an informed decision. It's so nice talking to you guys, inshallah, and take care.